we're at another amazing shop, one that I've been envious of for a long time. I've been wanting to come, and we're at Johnson's Hot Rods in Gadsden, Alabama, and I have Joel here. Joel's giving us a tour today, but Joel, tell us a little bit maybe about the shop and how long you guys have been in business. And we're going to get to a lot of information today, but give us a quick rundown.
Well, Johnson's Hot Rod Shop has been in existence since 1993. Alan started it in his dad's family-owned body shop back in the fall. I think it was in that summer of 93 there, in a 2-stall space where he built his first real hot rod, which was a 1937 Ford Cabriolet that basically became his rolling business card for what his abilities and everything that he could do. And then that really just started the whole ball rolling, and soon customers were coming to him, and away we are, and this is where we're at today.
And right now you guys have, I think, about 12 cars being built.
Yes.
So in all different stages, we're going to see some of that. But another thing we're going to get into is the parts.
Yes.
I know Johnson's Hot Rods is well known for the parts, the wheels, the one-off wheels, and others. I run some of the Johnson's Hot Rod parts on my Roadster. We have more on the 5-window that we're building. But where would they find some of the parts information? Give us the website a little bit, because I know there's a couple different websites there. But
yeah, so besides our signature parts line, we have the Hollywood spring and axle, which is our take, and we're still in R&D and testing and working on getting that, and we're getting closer to having our own front and rear springs. And then also we did a new venture, which is the Johnson's Radiator Works, which is basically we bought the assets of Walker Radiator to keep that legacy going and keep that niche market of a copper and brass radiator going for the old cars. And we're working on getting that up and running, and we might be able to do a sneak peek of that today. It just depends on timing and everything like that. But you know, and then besides the hot rod business, yeah, we've got our parts, the radiators, the springs, the wheels. So we've got a whole gamut of stuff going on. So we'll take a look at each of these pieces here in a little bit. So you know, just glad for you guys to come and take a little time to see us and see what we do in these 4 walls here.
It's awesome. Well, let's get started. Let's get a tour here of Johnson's Hot Rods. Stay tuned, watch the rest of the video, and check out the parts. We'll tag the website, Instagram, everything in this video as well, and in the comments. So let's get going. By the 32, you know, kind of roadster pickup truck and everything, and this has really been on a lot of road tours.
Yes, it is. It's gone on a couple Barrett Jackson road tours, and then also it's going on the Good Guys Hall of Fame tour. And really, the idea behind this was to be a running, driving test mule that we could try different suspension pieces on, different configurations for the Hollywood spring, as far as in the rear and in the front. It's got 2 different locations where we can set the rear spring. Our idea is obviously we like to try to get anything as low as possible, but still function the way it needs to. And so, you know, it's got some little things here and there that we've done as far as how we've got the cross members set within the chassis and everything. But the main thing is that a lot of the suspension pieces that are on here are right off the shelf type of pieces that are available through, you know, Summit Racing or through us directly. So, you know, that way we can get things going, and, you know, guys don't see that it's a one-off piece or anything like that. But in a lot of ways, that was kind of the original idea of the signature parts line, was to offer what looks like a one-off piece, but that everybody can get it.
Right.
And so, but in the theme of this, we were going for a real traditional style look. So that's why the pieces are like the front radius rods are painted black, just because, you know, when you looked at a Henry Ford car, you know, coming off the assembly line, it was, everything was black underneath.
Right.
I mean, that was his favorite color. Is, you know, I mean, I think the quote that he had was is that, you know, you could have any color as long as it's black. This was like,
Oh, if I said?
yeah, go ahead.
Let's see how much.
Now, Kevin, now this has got one of Henry's deals where his stanchions here
Yeah.
are, so we had to graph in on the cowl so that it lays it. It's not quite like the way the Rodwell type of
Yeah.
is. So the one thing is that like for Shane or Alan to drive it, it's a lot easier for them to fit.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. And he'd be like, well, come on, you
Once
fit
I'm
in
in
there.
here, it's not bad. I mean, I
No.
can stretch my leg out.
Yeah.
It's just, it's tight here.
It's tight there, and then the way where the pedals are, their feet are
Yeah,
smaller than mine. I mean, I've got 12s, and so
once I'm in
that
here-
part of it is a little bit. You're kind of like, all right, you know. So
Back in the 80s, that Inglace had done this kind of an intake for the Weber style. Well, there's very few of them out, and Alan was able to secure it from somebody long ago, and
then these just continue to get more brown and
they say, yeah, as they keep being exposed to air and everything like that, yeah, they'll start to turn kind of like a charcoalish, bronzish brown kind of.
that looks cool though.
Wanted us to do, we're gonna put fuel injection on the car and do some other little things here and there. It's been done a while, but it's also been kind of sitting for a little bit. So we're gonna do some things and get it kind of back up and going and everything like that. But I want to say, and I'd have to confirm, but I want to say this was kind of like a rat's glass style type of body with one of Alloway's type of chassis there, so it was probably a roller that they had bought at the time, and
It's got 2 extra inches in doors, or is it?
yes, yeah, this is, you can tell this is the longer, the 2-inch.
Yeah, it almost
kick.
looks like the same as like a Chad Adams does, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, and you can always recognize the
Yeah.
rats because
Yeah.
of the way they did the firewall in them.
And
But
the doors.
but Atkins had done the interior back in the day and such, so it just, you know, you can't let these old cars sit and everything like that. So
Right.
it's but we're gonna do some things on it to kind of clean it up and get it back functional and going down the road.
year is Suburban?
Yes, sir.
So what year Suburban is this?
1952.
Okay. And you were telling us it's actually set up for a Harley to come inside
Yes, sir. Mr. David Pilgrim is a great customer of ours, and he's a big time Harley guy. He used to own some Harley dealerships in Texas, and one of the requests that he had on this build was he wanted the rear seats removable and access to roll the motorcycle in the back of it, which is really rad. He does a lot of road trips, and he still rides avidly, like a big time rider. So that was one of his requests, and also building a matching trailer so that him and his wife can tow their two bikes as they ride. They go on mountain rides and you know, just get out and ride. They want to drive this thing, and they want to be able to pull their Harleys.
So they'll be able to strap the Harley down in there, and they have a ramp to actually get it up.
Yeah, it's actually set up for a board track bike. So we've used late model Tahoe seats that are quick remove, put all the attachments on the floor. So they'll be able to either pull those seats out, but we also left room in between the seats so that the front bike wheel actually sits up against the very front here. So they'll either be able to remove the seats, put the bike in, or leave the seats. It's a board track style bike, so it's not going to be a long road trip. But if he wants to, go to a Good Guys event or to Bonneville, which he goes to quite a bit, if he wants to take his board track bike and drive this, he'll be able to unload his bike and scoot around on the salt or whatever, It's really rad. So that's been the plan on this build the whole time.
And I like the interior panels, so it's all finished inside with the flat and the inserts and all painted inside slick as well.
Yes, sir. We obviously here we like the OE thing. We don't like to take away from anything that was originally made in the vehicle. We want it to look like it could have came that way. We take a lot of pride in that. So by doing these panels, we enhanced them a little bit, so that it wasn't so boring, so that the details would stick out a little more. As far as the offset paint tones, but we wanted it to look OE, so that's the whole point in that.
Now, can you tell us about the power plant? Can we walk over to the power plant?
Absolutely.
So that's one of the amazing things. You kind of said it's an inline-six.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This whole build was built around this.
Okay.
It's a really neat piece. So we started with, I don't know the exact displacement of the 6-cylinder we started with. I know that it's a big GM 6-cylinder, inline 6-cylinder, that they used in industrial type trucks. So your delivery trucks, your military vehicles, things like that, because we knew that the bottom end would give us what we needed. On top of that, the build is around original Wayne race equipment, which back in the day, the 6-cylinder stuff, that was the stuff to use. So this Wayne head, the last I heard, I think there's 5 of these heads in the world. There's 2 of them in this room.
Wow.
So like I said, the whole Suburban project started as a truck, but we couldn't find a truck solid enough to build. We found a Suburban, and it's all based around this power plant. Like this whole build has been around this. And a couple of requests from the customer was the split bank turbo. So he wanted a turbo on each 3 cylinders. And the reason for that is a really distinct sound. It sounds almost exotic when it's running.
Any idea of horsepower on something like this?
There's actually a video on YouTube of the actual dyno pool on this guy.
Okay.
And I don't know the exact numbers. If I remember right, I think it was 500 mark, a little over.
Off of a 6-cylinder.
On really low boost.
Okay.
On really low boost. It's probably capable of more if the 6-cylinder is capable of more. But with this being a streetable truck, like it's built to drive. So we didn't want to push and try to get a bazillion horsepower out of it because it's more of a down-tuned, decent fuel economy. But there's so much that went on this. Thank God for a 3D printer, because Alan was able to, between myself and Alan, we were able to 3D print a lot of these one-off parts that made this happen.
Yeah, I see all the machine parts.
Yes, sir. We machined these in-house, and it's built around boiler throttle bodies. So these are they house the injectors and all that stuff. So it made it a tighter, cleaner package. We were able to 3D print the intake plumes, the main intake portion here, even to the exhaust manifolds. We 3D printed those to make sure the turbos were going to be where they needed, all this stuff. So all this was 3D printed and then sent off, and they had them casted. So it saved us a bunch of time and money,
two Hemi, the Mickey's Hemi, roadster, and then the Paul sedan on the lift. Those two were best friends. Those two cars were built together in the late 70s.
Really?
Yeah, and so what's cool about it in the sense is that those two cars, you look at them and you start looking up underneath, and you can always tell like the early hot rods of like the 70s is that they got some kind of funky little things going on. That you look under that car, yeah, it's been leaking, they're doing some stuff, but you get a real appreciation of what they're about and the true backyard craftsmanship, right, of little things here and there and everything like that. Mickey's car, Mickey was a big Hemi kind of guru. He basically did a lot of NHRA drag racing and stuff, so he really knew a Hemi inside and out. And each one of his cars that he built all featured a Hemi. The Roadster was something that he had for a long time and been featured in various news books and stuff like that. Well, when Mickey passed, Alan reached out to his wife and said, hey, how can we do something? Because what was great about it is the fact that Paul and Mickey, they took Alan under his wing in a lot of ways, and introduced him and to how this is how we do stuff, and they built a friendship that has lasted for a lifetime in a way, and so to hang on to that was a way that you could.
So what's the plans with the car in the future?
Basically to get it out and drive it.
Another great visit. Joel, it's always great hanging out, talking with you as well. But thanks again for a tour at Johnson's Hot Rods. The quality of cars you guys do is second to none. The parts, amazing. We're going to show this, but thanks again for giving us an opportunity to tour.
I'm glad you guys were able to come by, and anytime you want to stop by, we're more than welcome for you to come by.
Good.
So, thank you.
Thank you.